ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد، ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية، وابن آكلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين، على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله، في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية، عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم، وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد، وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائه. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني، وابدأ به أولا ثم لعن الثاني والثالث والرابع. اللهم لعن يزيد خامسا، والعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانة وعمر بن سعد وشمرا وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. سجود. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم، الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود، وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بار الخالق على أجمعين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين حبيبنا وحبيب إليه العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى طيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولا سيما بغية الله في الأرضين واللعنة الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. Assalamu alaikum to all the brothers and sisters. May inshallah Allah Azza wa Jalla and Imam Zamana alayhi salam accept your mornings for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And may inshallah these sessions in the morning of Abu Abdullah be a stepping stone for the coming of the Imam of our time. And may inshallah we learn from them, me most of all, and all the brothers and sisters, and we put all the things that we learn into practice inshallah. And we see the improvements by next Muharram inshallah. So today's just a overview of the lecture that inshallah we want to give to the brothers and sisters. Today we're going to move on a little bit of the topic of more to do with akhlaq and the characteristics and the ethics of Islam and the characteristics that the Ma'sumin alayhi salam have, and these akhlaqi points, to a more aqa'id, a belief system, a theology topic. And we're going to discuss a very important and a very foundational topic that will be the basis of building a building or building a skeleton, that will be our entire belief system on top of this foundation. So it's very important, firstly. But however, before we go into the main part of today's lecture, I just wanted to finish a point there was not enough time in yesterday's lecture to mention, is one more point, one more characteristic of the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and then inshallah we'll go to the next part. The last characteristics that we want to mention to the brothers and sisters is the love that the companions of Abu Abdullah had towards meeting Allah Azza wa Jal, having liqa Allah, meeting Allah Azza wa Jal. Now it's narrated that in Karbala, after the khutbah of Imam Ali salam, Hilal ibn Nafi', one of the companions, he said to the Imam and gave a famous speech, Wallahum ma karaha liqa'a Rabbana. And he has a few important sentences how he shows the importance, the love he has towards, and the love he expresses to meeting Allah Azza wa Jal. Here he's trying to say that I have this love, I cannot wait, my whole body is, I'm just trying to explain in terms of how these companions of Abu Abdullah, full of light they were yearning for the meeting of Allah Azza wa Jal, as in they weren't upset. Again, these are linked together with the other characteristics. They weren't upset about meeting Allah Azza wa Jal. They were waiting for it, they were yearning for it. So this has, of course, a lot of detail that we can go to, but however, I just wanted to explain the last character so we can move on to the next lecture. It's very important. So the next part of the lecture, which is now an aqaidi point, we want to focus on the surah, on ayah 255 of Surah Baqarah, Ayatul Kursi it's famous for. Here we want to speak about what's the topic in hand is Tawheed. Now, do we want to speak about Tawheed to prove that it exists, or in terms of logical proving or disproving? No. Here we want to explain if someone accepts Tawheed, and there's a few lectures that go before this, but however we've mentioned just within the lectures that we've mentioned in these few nights, we've mentioned that it's very important to have your aqa'id, to have your belief system with aql, with logic, and not by ta'abbud, not just by accepting blindly. We mentioned this. This is very important. Yes, in ahkam, in your do's and don'ts, in the laws of Islam, we have ta'abbud, we have to listen. If Allah Azza wa Jal says something and there is in the ahkam, we accept it without question. However, in our belief system, it is not so. We need to question. I explained the difference between Islam and in Christianity. We do not have blind faith in Islam. When we have faith on logic and when we have faith on aql, what happens is that this belief grows. This ilmul yaqeen, because we have ilm towards it. It's a stepping stone to reaching that haqqul yaqeen, seeing it truly for what it is. At a certain time, for example, I can give you proof that behind this certain mountain, let's say we're in a meadow and there's a mountain at the back and we say smoke. With logical proof, I can explain to you, listen, if there's smoke, then there must be some kind of a fire. There must be something burning on that side. And this is a logical proof that there is fire. However, you yourself haven't seen the fire, but with a logical proof, I'm explaining that there is a fire. Now this is first a logical proof. However, when you go to the mountain, you pass after you've realized, listen, there must be a fire there, and you're in yearning and you're needing fire. You're needing of that warmth or whatever it may be, and you go all the way to there. Now you pass the mountain, you go through these trials and tribulations, and you reach the fire and you see the fire. Now this is different. You've seen it now. However, you wouldn't have gone this path of seeing the fire if you didn't know logically that there was a fire there to begin with. See the importance? If you didn't know that there was a fire behind the mountain, logically, and I didn't prove it to you in the beginning, you wouldn't have gone towards it in the first place. Because what am I going towards? Where am I going towards? Where, this side of the mountain or that? So this is extremely important. We move towards Allah Azza wa Jal when we know there is a logical proof behind it. A blind faith, it's doomed to be broken. It's doomed to one day be finished because it doesn't have any logical basis. However, beginning with logical basis is very important. And this is the importance of having iman with logical proof. And you build upon it. Now, when we accept Tawheed, again with logic, and we're building towards it, there's some implications, brothers and sisters. Unfortunately, the general thought about Tawheed is that, okay, I believe in Tawheed and that's it. It's just it's flashing. I think it's out of battery. Apologies for the technical difficulties. So this tawheed that we're building, firstly, we said with logics, and now we've reached a point where we say, okay, now we have tawheed. We have one Allah. We have a ma'bud. We have a beginning to the whole universe. And we want to explain this under the ayah of famous with Ayatul Kursi, ayah 255 of Surah Baqarah, that when we say we have tawheed, it's not only a belief that, okay, now I believe there is only one God, and that's it. I need this for reaching heaven, and this is one of the requirements. And yes, I say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. That's not what tawheed is in its essence. There is a duty that comes with it. This is the part that we want to explain. Tawheed has implications in our world view, the way we view the world. And our world view is the building. This is what's important about tawheed. Have within myself only me, and that's it. It's a personal connection between me and Allah. That's how it begins. That's how you understand what tawheed is. However, it is much more than that. Tawheed brings duty. When we understand, now what is, first we want to say, what is worldview? Jahan Bini. What is our worldview? And its difference with ideology, which we mentioned. One is just a belief, a bigger picture, and the other brings action, brings duties on our necks that we need to act upon. Now, with the meaning of a worldview is one, the things we understand from the world that we live in. We're analyzing the world. Okay? Where it comes from. This is important. It has an effect on how we act. Whether we are materialistic, we have a materialistic point of view, or if we have a theistic point of view, or if we have an atheistic point of view. These are all important. This all has effects on how I am in society, how I am as an individual. And second, so one is worldview, and the second is how I see insan, how I see mankind, a human being. What is a human being? Is a human being just to come on this earth and eat and sleep and leave offsprings and then die and that's it? It's just a blank page? It's just switching off a computer and that's it? After it's nothing? Is that what it is? Or no, insan is something more. A human being, an insan, has come to creation to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's come on the earth because insan is the only creation that it can rise to be higher than the angels. This is a definition of what an insan is in Islamic belief. We can rise up to being higher than the angels, and we can be lower than animals. When we act, because we have one thing that we have is we have choice. We have a choice to decide between good and bad. Now even angels have a choice. It's a more technical thing. We have to, if we want to talk about it, and we have to open it up, and it will take much more than a session. However, just take it at face value for now, that they have some kind of a choice, but not the way that we do. The way that we can reach high status of spirituality, closeness to Allah, an angel or other creations cannot. And we see this from ahadith. In the hadith of Mi'raj, when Rasulullah salawat, when Rasulullah reached, he was going the path with Hazrat Jibreel, and he reached a certain tree. Hazrat Jibreel said, I cannot pass here anymore. If I pass from this tree, my wings will catch on fire. Only you, an insan that is kamil, a complete human being, can pass from here. See, Rasulullah, a human being, he can reach a maqam where he is higher than the angels and the other prophets and the imams and the awliyaullah. And as we mentioned in the nights before, shuhada is a maqam of a shaheed that gives his life for Allah Azza wa Jal. This is an insan. However, that same insan, by making a choice, can be lower than animals. The worst kind of animals you can think of. Why? Because at least an animal is acting upon what it should do. For example, a lion is a predator and it wants to catch prey. It does it. It does what it's supposed to do. A cow is supposed to drink, is supposed to eat grass, is supposed to eat so on and so forth. Is a vegetarian, is so on. It's doing what it's supposed to do. However, an insan that is supposed to eat certain things, it decides to eat every single thing that they want to. Whether it be pork, whether it be non-haram food, whether it be... We had a person that came to, we were speaking together and he said, listen, I've had a lot of crab. And I said, listen, eating crab is haram. In Ahl Sunnah, it's not haram to eat crabs. In Shia, we believe it's haram. Not everything in the sea is halal. And he said, what about oysters? I said, oysters are haram as well, unfortunately. He said, really? What about squids? I said, yes, this is, and he said to me, it's extremely difficult. Why is it all of this haram? It was very difficult for him to get his head around the Sharia of Islam, and this is actually bad for you. Why? Because you're not supposed to have this. Because a human being has a choice. See, he wants to try every single thing, whether even it's bad for himself or herself, whoever it may be. It wants to try every single creature it can find in the sea. It wants to have it, whether it be sharks, squids, dolphins. But that cow is acting on what it should. It's supposed to eat this, it eats that. It doesn't go and find every single creature it can get his hands on and have it for dinner, lunch, or breakfast. But a human, see, it goes after many things. We don't do what we're supposed to do. However, if we act upon the Sharia, what we're supposed to do, the manual that has come from Allah Azza wa Jal, yes, you act upon that manual, you'll be higher than the angels, of course. However, if you don't act upon it, then you're lower than the things that at least they don't have choices, but they're acting upon what they should be acting. So, firstly, we understood that a worldview is understanding the world in and large, and secondly, understanding what a human is, what an insan is, and then the relationship between them. The entire world has a relationship between insan and it. Allah has created the world for us to reach Him. Well, unfortunately, in today's day and age, this is the last thing that we do. We want dunya and this world for itself. The last thing we think about is Allah. Unfortunately. The relationship is using it. And it's sakhara. We have this in the ayah of the Quran. It's sakhara. It's everything is under the rule of an insan. Look at today's modern society even. Everything's ruled by, on this planet, everything's ruled by human beings. Whether it be from the mountains to the seas to deserts to everything. However, Allah deemed it so that we use this to reach Him. This is an Islamic ideology, see. A worldview. Ideology comes later. This is a worldview. Now with Tawheed, what does Tawheed say? This is what we're building on. This is the foundation that we want to build on. It starts with Tawheed. When I understand first Tawheed, then I can understand through Tawheed what all of these things that we said about what the world is, what an insan is. This is from a Tawheedi perspective. Because we ourselves, how are we going to understand it? This is from a lens, looking through the lens of Islam. Otherwise, how are we going to understand this? Even today, modern society hasn't even reached what a true insan is. And let's look at it today. Are they truly going towards humanity? Is it really humanity what they're doing today? We have to understand that the world is not mustaqil. It's not on its own. It's not holding on by itself. Neither is an insan. Nothing is mustaqil. Nothing is walking on his own 2 feet, on his own 2 legs. Everything comes back to Allah Azza wa Jal. Of course, all of us know Surah Al-Ikhlas. In the ayah, Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Of course, all of us, we read this and we say, okay, Allah is not born and does not give birth. However, in Al-Mizan, this beautiful tafsir of Allama Tabatabai rahmatullah alayh, he takes our attention to a more underlying point that is beneath this Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Allama says, listen, what happens when a mother gives birth to a child? The son or daughter, this child is born, and they cut the umbilical cord, and the child has one life now after it, and the mother has another one. See, they're separate. In another word, this insan that has come now, this child, can live without the mother. In some sense, it can. And we know so many mothers, for example, so many children, they lose their mothers at birth. So if this mother after birth, if she is for whatever reason killed or is taken away, and she ceased to exist, this child still has existence. Allah is not like that with the world. This is not the connection of Allah and the world. It is not as if now that Allah has created the world, this is a misconception in people's ideologies, that now that Allah has created the world, okay, now He's gone in a corner, and He's waiting in the corner, and the whole world is unfolding before His eyes. So that even if we take Allah off, and we say, okay, now that He's going to cease to exist, na'uzubillah, that the world would be running still. That's not the case. One of Allama Tabatabai's famous students, Marhum Ayatollah Sa'adat Parvar, says that we do not believe in a Allah that is in the corner. That is a corner of the universe. He is within the universe. There's a famous hadith as well in Nahj al-Balagha from Imam Ali alayhi salam that says that Allah Azza wa Jal is within every single item in this entire world. However, He's not been mixed. And He's outside of every single item, but He's not separated. Now this is a proper philosophical explanation of what it actually means, and we need to open it up to exactly what we're trying to understand from this is that Allah is not in a corner. He's within us. He's closer than us than the vein in our neck. See, He's not in the corner. We are not mustaqil. We're not on our own 2 feet. But however, nowadays, what do we want to do? We want to make rules ourselves. We want to go to what we deem appropriate, what we want to have, whatever we want, what we think is delicious to have as food, whatever we think is good for our children to see, or even ourselves to see in social media, whether it be on TV, wherever it is. See, we've forgotten that, listen, you have a creator, that creator's gave you a manual, follow the manual. Of course you don't know better. But it comes back to me, see? We mentioned this in yesterday's lecture. It comes back to me. I see myself better. I see myself first. It's me. I'm not dissolved in my Imam. I'm not dissolved in my Allah, in my Creator. See, all these, each of these lectures, brothers and sisters, linked. It's like a chain. When you link them, this ideology is formed. We're talking about a worldview now. However, the next step, which is ideology, which we'll mention inshallah in the lecture, tomorrow's lecture, these 2 lectures I've specially made it for this point because it's extremely important. We're building this ideology. And this is how we understand from the implications of Tawheed, is how we understand how we're supposed to be with our Imam, how we're supposed to be with the people that are above us, whether it be our Mawla, whether it be whatever it may be. It's because we understand Tawheed correctly. The companions of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein understood Tawheed correctly. That's why Abul Fadl Abbas, that today is his night, he was dissolved in his Imam. We mentioned this. Because he understood Tawheed correctly. Because he was dissolved in Tawheed, he was dissolved in his Imam. This was second nature. He didn't need to think about it. So when we see in this ayah, Allahu la ilaha illahu, see, if we want to break this down into pieces and we want to explain each part, that there is no Allah but Him, there is no ilah, there is no ma'bud, there is nothing to praise but Him, a question arises. If that is the case and it's so cemented in the Quran, then why is it some people pray to others? Why is it that in Kaaba, for example, before Islam came, there was 360, for example, idols that they were worshipping? Why is it that even some of Muslims today, we still worship idols? Which idol? Our nafs. Which idol? Materialistic things. We worship it, truly. Worshipping is the attention we have to things. The attention we have towards our materialistic gains, our nafs, the things that we want, is extremely high. It's much more than the attention that we have towards salat and towards Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And even if we have attention to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, it's in the jalasa. It's in this 1-2 hours. Even if it is that the whole 1-2 hours we have complete attention to Abu Abdullah. However, when we leave, we forget it. Tomorrow, the day after, every day is supposed to be like Ashura. For a mu'min, every day is supposed to be like Ashura. It's narrated that the Imam of our time, he cries every day for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. He has tears every single day for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. See, for him, every day is Ashura. He lives Ashura every single day. It's not just one day of the year. It's not only these 10 nights of Muharram for him. Every month is Muharram for him. Every day is Ashura for him. This is how we're supposed to live. So when we understand that Allahu la ilaha illahu, there is no other ma'bud, what implications does this have towards me? Now this is personal. This is more personal. Later on when we go to the ayah, you'll see that the implications, it comes into society in large. However, when we understand that there is no ma'bud, this one line in the Quran is explaining all the other sifat, the characteristics that we mentioned from the Imams, from the companions of the Imam. In one line in the Quran it's mentioned. See? So when the ulama say that the Quran is summarized, this is what they mean. It's summarized in one package. See? Because if you truly believe that there's only one Allah, there's only one, you need to praise one person only, all these materialistic things go away. Your love for the dunya goes away. The things that we mentioned, the characteristics of the companions of the Imam. You will have taqwa. What was taqwa? Taqwa was doing the wajibat and not doing the muharramat. You will have that again because you know Allahu la ilaha illahu. All the other characteristics come into place from this one line. See? But we need to pull these, we need to deduce these from this one line. It's very important. This is the implications of Tawheed, brothers and sisters. We need to look within ourselves. How much am I actually worshipping Allah? And how much am I worshipping my own wants and needs? We go again on with the ayah and it gives characteristics of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is what we're now that from these characteristics of Allah Azza wa Jal, His sifat, we're now building what it is in our societies. One thing it says is Al-Hayy. Allah is Hayy. He never dies out. Now we truly cannot call other people Hayy, Al-Hayy. See? Why? Because a true Al-Hayy, something that is Hayy, it must have always existed and it must always exist. See? However, can we call ourselves Hayy? Because there's ones that we didn't exist. See? So the essence of this word is only for Allah Azza wa Jal. But because through Him we have existence, in a diluted version of Al-Hayy, we also are Hayy. A very diluted version. Remember we spoke about the intensity, and there's intensity in creation. A very lower intensity of creation, which is us, compared to Allah Azza wa Jal. And I cannot emphasize on the word very diluted, very less intense amount of wujud, in terms of existence. This Al-Hayy, yes, it's for us as well. However, we have to understand that He is the one that has Al-Hayy in abundance. He is Al-Hayy. See? Because from Tawheed we understand, this is the belief of a Shia Muslim, that the sifat of Allah Azza wa Jal are exactly Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah Azza wa Jal is exactly like His own sifat, His own characteristics. Because if we separate His characteristics from He Himself, you're creating 2, you're creating 3, 4, 5 gods, plural. See? So when we give characteristics of Allah, it is exactly Him. It is exactly He Himself. Whether we say Huwa al-Hayyul Qayyum, Hayy and Qayyum, and all the other characteristics that are mentioned in the Quran. This doesn't mean Allah, there is one character that He has a Hayy, just how, imagine a human being, we have a hand, we have legs. See, these are all parts of us. Only a limited being has parts. We need to pay attention to these. These are the small little cracks in our belief system, see? Only a person or a creature or a being that is limited has parts. Allah Azza wa Jal is not limited. He shouldn't have parts. So all His characteristics are exactly He Himself. Okay? And yes, why do we say Huwa? Because we don't know in He Himself, in terms of His Zat, in terms of His core being, of exactly what He is. It's very difficult. So we use Asma' Ishara. We do Ishara. We say yes, Huwa, for example. He. Because you can't say all of His characteristics in one. However, when we're singling out a certain characteristic, it doesn't mean that this is something apart from Him. This is exactly His essence. Al-Hayy. And now, we've come back to the belief system. If we truly believe Allah is Hayy, why are we locking our hearts towards things that will one day end? Why are we going towards things that are limited? Why are we going towards things that I don't know even whether it will be tomorrow here or whether it won't be tomorrow here? Whether it even will have value tomorrow or whether it won't have value tomorrow. Even your house, let's say. It will deduce in value or it will go up. You never know. Whether it be Bitcoin, whether it be all these different, even whether it be gold. However, does Allah's value deteriorate? Is it that you can lose Allah Azza wa Jal apart from your own actions? See, sometimes we lose the most important things for things that are not as important. And if He is Hayy, now these are the ones that we're building up to, that we will mention inshallah later on in the lectures to come, that if He is Hayy, and He always was and He always will be, who is, and He again, La ilaha illahu, who is supposed to put rules in society? Me? You? Or Him? The one that is Hayy, the one that has existed, the one that He is our creator. See, Tawheed is not just one thing I believe, yes, there's only one God. It has implications. It brings duties. We need to fix our societies with Tawheed. We need to fix our houses, our own lives, our families' lives with Tawheed. It's not just one normal belief that I have, yes, that we have Tawheed. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, it brings a duty upon your neck that you need to act like La ilaha illallah. You need to act like you mean it. It's not just a word of our mouths. And on the day of judgment, when we go back and they say, who's your God? When they ask you these questions, in that moment, it's not by your this tongue that you have now and you're going to mention it. Your actions will speak. Brothers and sisters, your actions will speak. There, if you haven't acted like you believe in Tawheed, you can't say La ilaha illallah. If you haven't acted upon the words of your Imams, you can't give shahadat that your Imam is Amir al-Mu'mineen. You can't say your Imam is Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. You haven't acted upon it. It's not a materialistic world. It's not this world that you can say with your tongue. It's alamul ma'ana. It's the world of meaning. Your actions have meaning over there. So memorizing, saying it after salat every single time, it's very good. It brings this repeat thing that it will be embedded in your head that I need to have attention to this. However, if I don't act upon it, there is no point. There is absolutely no point in just believing in saying La ilaha illallah, not acting upon it. It's not going to be any use. And whether it be that we even take the iman of other people. Unfortunately, sometimes, some of us, if we have a little bit of a face of Islam, others around us will say, okay, this person is a muwahhid. They look towards you as a very religious person. And if you don't act upon your La ilaha illallah, unfortunately, they'll see you make a mistake, and where they're going to see this from? They're going to see this from your religion. They're going to see this from your deen. Oh, see, this religious person does this. And na'uzubillah, you would make someone else's religion crumple because of what you've done with your actions. Because you haven't acted upon La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illahu. You haven't acted upon this. So it's not just a dry believing in one certain thing. They're saying, oh, okay, we have Allah and that this God is only one and there is no God but Him. It's more than that. It's an ideology. Al-Qayyum, which is the next characteristic of Allah Azza wa Jal, the same thing. The same things apply. He is here to stay. Now, if all of these characteristics are for Allah Azza wa Jal, what happens is that, and other characteristics, for example, ilm, and because ilm is one of the most important things, idalat is another one. If Allah has all the ilm, all the knowledge, and He is Hayy, and He is Qayyum, and He's more powerful than anyone, and again, take what we said for one example of His characteristics and apply it to all of them. Power is only for Allah Azza wa Jal. If anyone has power, it's Allah gave them that power. Whether it even be a bad person. Pay attention, even whether it be a bad person. Whether it even be for a bad cause. Now this is a lot of explanation. We don't have time to go through it. However, even with that person. So true power is only for Allah Azza wa Jal. Yes, a very diluted version of that. Again, just how we said for the other characteristics. Yes, it's for a human being. Now all of these characteristics that we mentioned, we come back to so after this personal connection that I have to Allah Azza wa Jalla, and I need to remember in my personal matters that I need to have Allah in my mind, whether it be with my family, whether it be me, with my belief systems, with what I have attention to, with my heart, all of these characteristics, yes? Now, who makes the laws? What law do I need to abide by? Whether it be the law of how I'm supposed to act towards my child, whether it be how I'm supposed to act with my mother and father. We said, even yesterday I mentioned, even if we do something for our parents, which we must, even if they're in the wrong, because they've said something, unless it's against Sharia, and they said to us we have to do something, we go and do it. The reason we do it is because Allah Azza wa Jalla has told us to do it. That's the reason, see? This is a Tawheedi mindset. This is a Tawheedi worldview. Everything comes back to Tawheed. Everything comes back to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And we gave the examples of the Imams, of the Nabi. We love all of them because Allah Azza wa Jalla loves them. And we answered all those shubahat and the questions that arise around it. Now, when we go and enlarge now outside of our families, let's go between brothers, between brothers and sisters in a large, in a society, who can make the good decision? Who makes a true decision? If we look at the evolution of mankind, when we've collected in a society, laws have changed. And we vote upon it. We have a parliament. Parliament comes and does votes, and all of these things, which is good in its essence. We should have laws governing us and all, so on and so forth. However, who understands better, Allah or us? Are we supposed to take in regard what Allah Azza wa Jal says or not? All of these laws that we have in ahkam, we have hudud, we have diyat, we have qadha, these are all the abwab, the different chapters of fiqh. Fiqh Jafari, the fiqh of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, salawat. What are we meant to do with it? Do we put it on the side? Is Islam a place, is it a buffet where we choose from it? We take a little bit of this, we take a little bit of that, but we don't want that. We put that aside, and then we take this section and we say, oh, listen, this part of the law, today's day and age, it doesn't seem appropriate. Let's just put this one aside. Is it like that, really? So now a religion has become a buffet. I pick this one or I don't pick that one, and it's a package. I can't pick and choose, it's a package. It comes all together. So of course, if Allah Azza wa Jal, it's very simple. When Allah Azza wa Jal, I've chose as the creator, He is the beginning, He is the end. وَالْأَوَّلُ وَآخِرُ وَظَاهِرُ وَبَاطِنُ, all these characters, He is the beginning, He is the end. When I understand this, what happens? He's the one that's supposed to make the laws. His laws are important. Whether it be with society, whether it be with our ahkam, whether it be my do's and don'ts in terms of what I have to eat and not eat, whether it be do's and don'ts of how I dress and I don't dress, I have hijab, I don't have hijab, what part am I supposed to have with hijab, what part am I not supposed to have with hijab. Let's see the evolution of hijab, honestly. There was a video from, I can't remember exactly when it was 1960s, 1970s, I can't remember. However, it was a interviewer interviewing women in Belfast. And they put under, they was next to a shop, and they were showing a female top, a clothing. And this interviewer asked these women, what would you say if a woman wore this in public? And this is back then. And the woman said, well, this is a very revealing clothes. Only bad women would wear this on the street. It's not acceptable. Of course, look at this type of clothing. And this is back then. It's not even that, we're not talking about maybe 50, it's not like 100 years ago. We're talking about maybe 40, 30 years ago. Maybe less than that. I'm not sure. The women, all of them, without a doubt, all of them said this is ridiculous. Who would wear this in the streets? This top, it's very revealing. They showed that in 2016, that was the fashion, the main fashion of that year. All the women were wearing it on the streets. Something that was not acceptable, and it was a shock for women to wear back then, is now norm. It's normal. See how the laws and the what's right and what's wrong in terms of socially changes within us, within humans. However, when Allah Azza wa Jal at the beginning, when He said that hijab is only the face and the two hands, He said that in the Quran, and within the Imam said this, the Prophet said this, the Imam said this, all the way, and still we're saying it to this day. It hasn't changed. Halal Muhammad illa al-yawm al-qiyamah, haram Muhammad illa al-yawm al-qiyamah. Salawat. Now, of course, when we say do's and don'ts, in some other things, yes. In the things that are not a must, it changes. We had this question as well with the women in the Q&A. Yeah, of course, back then it was very acceptable to have, for example, 4 wives. I know some of the brothers will get upset here. However, now it's not very accepted to have 4 wives. And there's no need for it even. Don't get upset. It's a fact. And we could make the argument that you shouldn't even. Things change. For example, we mentioned even in the culture of hijab, you go to some place like Iraq or Iran, women wear chadors, or in Arabic like the abas. Maybe you can make the argument that here, because of looks and because people will look at you more and you're more in terms of intent, more attention is towards you, you can make the argument, yeah, you shouldn't wear the abba here. Or however, can you make the same argument, say, you don't need to wear hijab as well? Some things that are not a must, see this one, and who decides that? Are us normal people? No. Ulama. The alims that have studied 20, 30, so 4 years. Yes, they can decide. We can ask for guidance from them. We can discuss the situation and they'll tell us their opinion of how we should deal with Islam. But however, the do's and don'ts, no alim can change. When it's haram, it's haram. When it's halal, it's halal. How are they going to change it? How are they going to change it? Now this is a lot more to it. Believe me, there might be a lot of questions you guys have, which I believe we have a Q&A afterwards, inshallah. So all of these things are, there might have questions in this specific, what about this specific part, or what about this specific situation? Yes, in different parts we need to discuss that, and the ulama have explained. But however, in its essence, the haram of the Prophet is haram, and the halal of him is halal. This is the last religion of Allah, brothers and sisters. This is supposed to be the religion that unites all the world. And this fiqh, the fiqh of Imam Jafar as-Sadiq, this one is supposed to be the law of all lands when Imam Zaman alayhi salam comes. We need to wake up. We need to understand this. It's not a normal law that today is this one and we'll go and vote for it and tomorrow will be another law. Time is running out, inshallah. We'll continue with tomorrow's lecture. Inshallah, for the coming of Imam of our time, recite salawat. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنا عليك مني جميع سلام الله أبدا وما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار بلا جعله الله إلى آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين. All together, brothers and sisters. وعلى علي ابن الحسين وعلى صحاب الحسين. السلام عليك أيها العبد الصالح المطيع لله وللرسول والأمير المؤمنين وللحسن والحسين صلى الله عليهم. والسلام عليك ورحمة الله وبركاته ومغفرته ورضوانه على روحك وبدنك. أشهد وأشهد الله أنك مضيت على ما مضى به البدريون. As Abbas lay on the sands of Karbala, arrows shaking, arrows taking away his noble soul by the son of Ali. Oh my master, how can I lie? This is Abul Fadl al-Abbas speaking to his brother Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Oh my master, how can I lie while you stand? Oh master, have I failed you in my duty of water? Even in his last moments, Abul Fadl al-Abbas is still thinking about his duty of water. Maybe that's why around his zari there's still water to this day. My master, I feel like I have failed you, and my mission is undone. How can I answer my mother when she asks how I have done? My master, please don't tell her that I lay while you were standing. This still Abul Fadl al-Abbas, this is how his mother has raised him up, that you should not lay while Al-Hussein is standing. You shouldn't be laying, you shouldn't be sitting, you should all be standing. Oh master, please don't tell her that I was laying while you were standing, as she raised me up such that when you are sitting, I should be standing. Ya Hussein, please don't tell her that I missed your call for aid, as she raised me up such that before you would even ask, I would obey. Ya Hussein, please don't tell her that I watched Ruqayya shake with thirst, as she raised me such that no Zahra would ache again. Oh my master, please don't tell her that I saw Qasim licking his lips, as she raised me such that I would never see another Hassan kick while giving his life. Ya Hussein, don't tell her that I witnessed Ali Akbar's body split, as she raised me up such that no Ali's head would be split again. Ya Hussein, Ya Aba Abdullah, please don't tell her that I held Ali Azkar whilst he was crying, while I saw him in his last moments, as she raised me up such that no Mohsin would ever die again. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, all together, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون باسمك الأعظم جل الأكرم بك يا الله. Brothers and sisters, lots of the brothers and sisters, whether it be in this country or other countries, they've asked for you to pray for them, whether it be for their well-being, in their health, in their financial issues, a lot of issues. Honestly, these days are the days that all the mu'mineen ask for iltimas al-du'a. Please, with these tears that are flowing from your eyes, please pray for them. We said that this majlis is for the majlis of Abu Abdullah. This is the haram of Abu Abdullah Hussein right here. When we pray to Abu Abdullah in these majlis, and may inshallah all their difficulties go away, whether it be a lot of them are sick right now, they have issues, their parents, their kids. May inshallah with the grace of Abu Abdullah Hussein, all of them be cured, and may inshallah these be the stepping stones of the coming of Imam in our time, zikr ba salawat and the hamd of shafa inshallah. Allah.
سيدي يا عباس يا أبا الفضل العباس، يا سيدي يا عباس يا أبا الفضل العباس.
أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. عريس الولد جابايته تشوله، عريس الولد جابايته تشوله، ما ترهام الزفة بلا يهالهوله، ما ترهام الزفة بلا يهالهوله. أمنيتي الولد عريسه شوفنه، أمنيتي الولد عريسه شوفنه، هالهولة خواته وصفقة الحنة، هالهولة خواته وصفقة الحنة، من الخيمة عمات اللي يزفنه، من الخيمة عمات يزفنه، بتعمل عروس تعاين الطولة، بتعمل عروس تعاين الطولة. عريس الولد جابايته تشوله، عريس الولد جابايته تشوله، ما ترهام الزفة بلا يهالهوله، ما ترهام الزفة بلا يهالهوله. فرحانة بابنها تبخير هدومه، فرحانة بابنها تبخير هدومه، هذا أول فرح للقاضي ملزومه، هذا أول فرح للقاضي ملزومه. ما تدري بابنها صاحب الحومة، ما تدري بابنها مصاحب الحومة، نية زفيته وبسيوف يقروله، نية زفيته وبسيوف يقروله. عريس الولد جابايته تشوله، عريس الولد جابايته تشوله، ما ترهام الزفة بلا يهالهوله، ما ترهام الزفة بلا يهالهوله. لبس هندام ابو شاجيخ عقاله، لبس هندام ابو شاجيخ عقاله، عمه من الخيم صدوته عناله، عمه من الخيم صدوته عناله. على عم الولد ما طالع الخاله، على عم الولد ما طالع الخاله، يشبه صورة العباس قالوله، يشبه صورة العباس قالوله. عريس الولد جابايته تشوله، عريس الولد جابايته تشوله، ما ترهام الزفة بلا يهالهوله، ما ترهام الزفة بلا يهالهوله. أمنية الولد عريسه شوفنه، أمنية الولد عريسه شوفنه، هالهولة خواته وصفقة الحنة، هالهولة خواته وصفقة الحنة، من الخيمة عمات اللي يزفنه، من الخيمة عمات اللي يزفنه، بتعمل عروس تعاين الطولة. أمنية الولد عريسه شوفنه، أمنية الولد عريسه شوفنه، الهولة خواته وصفقة الحنة. صلوات.
सलाम गाजी सलाम गाजी वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी, सलाम गाजी सलाम गाजी वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी, सलाम गाजी सलाम गाजी वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी, सलाम गाजी सलाम गाजी वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी। जगह जगह है आलम गवाही, दिलों पे तेरी है बादशाही। जगह जगह है आलम गवाही, دلوں پہ تیری ہے بادشاہی، لبوں پہ تیرا ہی نام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، سلام غازی سلام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، سلام غازی سلام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، تیرے علم کا ہے ہم پہ سایہ، علم پہ سایہ ہے پنج تن کا، تیرے علم کا ہے ہم پہ سایہ، علم پہ سایہ ہے پنج تن کا، بلند تیرا مقام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، سلام غازی سلام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، سلام غازی سلام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، علم کا جب سے ہوا ہے سایہ، زمین کرب و بلا پہ مولا، علم کا جب سے ہوا ہے سایہ، زمین کرب و بلا پہ مولا، تیرا ہے چلتا نظام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، سلام غازی سلام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے سلام غازی سلام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، تو با وفا ہے تو لافتہ ہے، بے آسروں کا تو آسرا ہے، تو با وفا ہے تو لافتہ ہے، بے آسروں کا تو آسرا ہے، جہاں میں چرچا ہے عام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، سلام غازی سلام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، سلام غازی سلام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، حسین مولا سے پیار کرنا، حسین پر جان نثار کرنا، حسین مولا سے پیار کرنا، حسین پر جان نثار کرنا، یہی ہے تیرا پیام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، سلام غازی سلام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، سلام غازی سلام غازی، وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی، صلوات محمد۔ حسین منی وانا من الحسین، حسین منی وانا من الحسین، حسین منی وانا من الحسین، حسین وائے 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 حسین وائے، مظلوم بے کس تو بے وطن، اتنا غریب تو شاہ زمن، ہاں تیروں پہ تھا تیرا بدن، تیرا لہو تھا تیرا کفن، کیسے بھلائیں ہم وہ گھڑی، تیرے گلے پر چلی چھری، خیمے کے در پہ بہن کھڑی، کہتی تھی زینب رو کے یہی، حسین وائے 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 حسین وائے، حرق الخيام في كربلاء وتفع دخان إلى السماء فقد نحامي المشرعا لا ذي الولا هام ولما من الذي سيساعنا وسوف يمسح دموعنا ويستميع بكاءنا ويشفق على حالنا حسين واي 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 حسين شب همه شب عاشقانه هی میکنم حسین حسین یادم نمیره ای تا ابد و شبای بین الحرمین یادش بخیر چی حالی بود میسوختم از عمق وجود مستی بود و عشق و جنون و ناله آج و عشق و سجود حسین وای 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 حسین وای وای. We can't control the tears that flow. Oh Master, we all want you to know the flame of your love will always glow. In our hearts it will always grow. Today your name runs in our veins. When our heart beats, it beats your name. On our lips is Hussein, Hussein. When we hear of your grief and pain, Hussein, why, 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 Hussein, why, why. करबो बला में थी ये सदा हल मिन नासरी अनसुरना तमाम मोमिन की है बुका लब्बैक मौला की है सदा हर एक ज़बान पे है ये तेरा जुलूस मजलिस नौहा अज़ा सारा जहान है ये बोलता हुसैन 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 मौला मेरा हुसैन
حسین و التماس دعا السلام علیک یا صاحب العصر و الزمان یا امام زمان چو گیسوی تو من در پیچ و تابم یا ابن زهرا چرا یک شب نمی آیی به خوابم یا ابن زهرا توی ماه منیرم به گیسویت اسیرم از آن ترسم که آخر ز هجرانت بمیرم حبیب منی طبیب منی بیا دور بگردم بیا دورت بگردم یبن الحسن یبن الحسن all together یبن الحسن یبن یا امام زمان یبن الحسن یبن یبن الحسن یبن الحسن شب تاسوعا بزم ازا guruldi Şia azaya gelsin Ver müjde her merize Dar-ı şifaya gelsin Gel sesle ya Ebel Fazl Gel sesle ya Ebel Fazl Müşkil guşa Ebel Fazl Müşkil guşa Ebel Fazl All, everybody has got haja, say this please Müşkil guşa Müşkil guşa Ebel Fazl Dar-ı şefa Ebel Faz Gel sesle ya Ebel Faz Gel sesle ya Ebel Faz Allah bilir Hüseyin can Attan nece yıkıldım Yerde nece süründüm Gamla nece seçildim Yüz düttü xeymegaha Seslendi gel Hüseyin can Derk etmiş ve azirün Peyke ecel Hüseyin'im Gel sesle ya Ebel Faz Gel sesle ya Müşkil guşa Ebel Faz Her derde bir devaya Eyler deva Ebel Faz Salavat به سر افتاد هوای حرمت یا عباس به سر افتاد هوای حرمت یا عباس میکشم حسرت بین الحرمت یا عباس میکشم حسرت بین الحرمت یا عباس ابو فاضل ابو فاضل ابو فاضل ابو فاضل 4 times ابو فاضل everybody please ابو جان زهرا نظری 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 جان زهرا نظری کن که ز پا افتادم ناامیدم من اما از کرمت یا عباس ابو فاضل ابو فاضل ابو مادرم داده به من درس عزاداری را زده ام سینه به پای علمت یا عباس دم جان پرور تو کار مسیحا بکند مرد احیا شوداری ز دمت یا عباس ابو فاضل ابو فاضل ابو فاضل ابو فاضل again ابو فاضل ابو وا آتشا وا آتشا وا آتشا عمو عباس وا آتشا وا آتشا وا آتشا عمو عباس وا آتشا وا آتشا عمو عباس وا آتشا وا عمو عباس ای علمدار حرم ای پناه دل خواهر من ساقی تشنه لشکر من ماه آب آور من ماه آب آور من وا از آتش خیمه غوغاست الاتش ذکر لب هاست در غم اصغر من در غم اصغر من وا آتشا وا آتشا وا آتشا ابو عباس وا آتشا louder please زاده ام البنین یا اخا گفتی و جان گرفتم بوسه از برگ قرآن گرفتم گل به دامان گرفتم گل به دامان گرفتم وای بعد تو ای آب آور بی حیا شد این لشکر عید قربان گرفتم عید قربان گرفتم وا آتشا وا آتشا وا آتشا عمو عباس وا سقای بی دست با کام عطشان در خون نشسته در خون نشسته سقای بی دست با کام عطشان در خون نشسته خون نشسته دستش بریده تیرش بدیده فرقش شکسته فرقش شکسته سقا فدا شد دستش جدا شد مظلوم ابوالفضل مظلوم ابوالفضل مظلوم ابوالفضل مظلوم ابوالفضل مظلوم ابوالفضل مظلوم اجرکم عند الله ای وای از این غم دشمن بخندد بابا بگرید بابا بگرید تنها نه بابا زهرا برای سقا بگرید سقا بگرید سقا فدا شد دستش جدا شد مظلوم ابوالفضل مظلوم مظلوم هر خیمه رفتم با گریه گشتم آبی ندیدم آبی ندیدم با کام عطشان یک آه جانسوز از دل کشیدم از دل کشیدم بابا ز میدان آمد ولی با قد خمیده قد خمیده دیدم به دستش با چشم گریان دست بریده دست بریده سقا فدا شد دستش جدا شد مظلوم ابوالفضل مظلوم ابوالفضل مظلوم ابوالفضل مظلوم ابوالفضل مظلوم مظلوم بالله عمویم دریای غیرت مهرش به دل بود، با آنکه از ما لب تشنه در بود، اما خجل بود، اما خجل بود. سقا فدا شد دستش جدا شد، مظلوم ابوالفضل، مظلوم ابوالفضل، مظلوم ابوالفضل، مظلوم ابوالفضل، مظلوم ابوالفضل، بین همه عشقای دنیا، بین همه عشقای دنیا، عشق است ابوالفضل، عشق است ابوالفضل. بین همه عشقای دنیا، بین همه عشقای دنیا، عشق است ابوالفضل، عشق است ابوالفضل. نور علوی فاتح دلها، نور علوی فاتح دلها، عشق است، عشق است ابوالفضل، عشق است ابوالفضل. بر قلعه قلبم علمی سبز نشانم، عشق است ابوالفضل. فریاد تنین آن مهدی موعود این است و بدانی دو همه مردم دنیا، عشق است ابوالفضل، عشق است ابوالفضل. بین همه عشقای دنیا، بین همه عشقای دنیا، عشق است ابوالفضل، عشق است ابوالفضل. صلوات.
يا ابو فاضل يا عباس، يا ابو فاضل يا ابو فاضل، يا ابو فاضل يا عباس، يا ابو فاضل، يا ابو فاضل، يا ابو فاضل، يا ابو فاضل. عبست وجوه القوم خوف الموت والعباس فيهم ضاحك متبسم. عبست وجوه القوم خوف الموت والعباس فيهم ضاحك متبسم. قلب اليمين عن الشمال، قلب اليمين على الشمال، وغاص في الأوساط يحسد للرؤوس ويحطم. أبا الفاضل، أبا الفاضل، أبا الفاضل، أبا الفاضل. وثنى أبو الفضل الفوارس نكصا، وثنى أبو الفضل الفوارس نكصا. فرأوا أشد ثباتهم أن يهزموا، ما كر ذو بأس له، ما كر ذو بأس له متقدما إلا وفر ورأسه المتقدم. أبا الفضل، أبا الفضل، أبا الفضل، أبا الفضل. بطل تورث من أبيه شجاعة فيها أنوف بني الضلالة ترغم. بطل تورث من أبيه شجاعة فيها أنوف بني الضلالة ترغم. بطل إذا ركب المطاهم خلته جبلا أشم يخف فيه مطاهم. أبا الفضل، أبا الفضل، أبا الفضل، أبا الفضل.
أو تشتكي العطش الفواطم عنده، وبصدر صعدته الفرات المفعم، في كفه اليسرى السقاء، في كفه يسرى السقاء يقله، وبكفه اليمنى الحسام المخذم. أبا الفضل أبا الفضل أبا الفضل أبا الفضل قسما بصارمه الصقيل، وإنني في غير صاعقة السماء لا أقسم، لولا القضاء لمحى الوجود بسيفه، لولا القضاء لمحى الوجود بسيفه، والله يقضي ما يشاء ويحكم. أبا الفضل أبا الفضل أبا الفضل أبا الفضل لولا القضاء لمحى الوجود بسيفه، والله يقضي ما يشاء ويحكم. حسمت يديه المرهفات وإنه وحسامه من حدهن لا أحسم، وهوى بجنب العلقم فليته، وهوى بجنب العلقم فليته، للشاربين به يداف العلقم. يا أبا الفضل أبا الفضل أبا الفضل أبا الفضل فمشى لمصرعه الحسين وطرفه، فمشى لمصرعه الحسين وطرفه، بين الخيام وبينه متقاسم، ألفاه محجوب الجمال كأنه، ألفاه محجوب الجمال كأنه بدر بمنحطم الوشيج ملثم. أبا الفضل أبا الفضل أبا الفضل أبا الفضل فأكب منحنيا عليه ودمعه، فأكب منحنيا عليه ودمعه، صبغ البسيط كأنما هو عندم، قد رام بلثمه فلم ير موضعا، قد رام بلثمه فلم ير موضعا، لم يدمه غض السلاح فيلثم. أبا الفضل أبا الفضل أبا الفضل أبا الفضل أبا الفضل أبا الفضل.
ای اهل حرم میر و علمدار نیامد، ای اهل حرم میر و علمدار نیامد، علمدار نیامد، علمدار نیامد، سقای حسین سید و سالار نیامد، سقای حسین سید و سالار نیامد، علمدار نیامد، علمدار نیامد. ای اهل حرم میر و علمدار نیامد، ای اهل حرم میر و علمدار نیامد، علمدار نیامد، علمدار نیامد، سقای حسین سید و سالار نیامد، سقای حسین سید و سالار نیامد، علمدار نیامد، علمدار نیامد. ای اهل حرم شاه حرم رفت ز دنیا، ای اهل حرم شاه حرم رفت ز دنیا، آمد ببرش مادر او حضرت زهرا، ای سینه زنان دست علمدار فتاده، ای سینه زنان فرق علمدار شکسته، خم گشته علم گشته علمدار چو خسته، خدا ساقی و سردار نیامد. هی اهل حرم میر و علم، هی اهل حرم علمدار نیامد، علمدار نیامد. سقای حسین سید و سالار نیامد، سقای حسین سید و سالار نیامد. علمدار ای اهل حرم میر و علمدار نیامد، ای اهل حرم میر و علمدار نیامد. علمدار نیامد، علمدار نیامد. آن مهوش مهروی وفادار نیامد، آن مهوش مهروی وفادار نیامد. پوسید نگاهی به رهی از سر امید، سقا و سپهدار و علمدار نیامد. ای اهل حرم، ای اهل حرم میر و علمدار نیامد، علمدار نیامد، علمدار نیامد. ای اهل حرم دار نیامد، ای اهل حرم میر و علمدار نیامد، علمدار نیامد، علمدار نیامد. صلوات.
عرض قبلك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل الساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم بحق محمد وعلي وفاطمة بالحسن والحسين وتسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين عليهم السلام وبدم المظلوم وبدماء شهداء كربلاء 10 times. يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله. يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك واكفنا يا قاضي الحاجات ويا كافي المهمات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك الغافر الذنب والخطيات إنك على كل شيء قدير برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Is a request. One of the sisters, Maryam bint Fatima in Lebanon, is in a critical condition. She's ill. Asked everybody to pray for her and all people who are ill and suffers from different things. Also, it was a very bad news earlier tonight. It was a terrorist attack in near the Zainabiyah, and few people martyred. Remember them as well. Reciting 5 times Ayah Mubarakah Amman Yujib. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. اما یجیب مضطر اذا دعا و یکشف السوء. شفای مریضان. آمرزش گناهان. سلامتی خودتون و خانوادتون. اما یجیب المضطر اذا دعا و یکشف السوء. صلوات الله محمد و آله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر والله أكبر ولله الحمد. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن عليا ولي الله. أشهد أن عليا أمير المؤمنين وأولاده المعصومين بالحق حجج الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. حي على خير العمل.
خير العمل. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. صل اللهم على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والنصر، واجعلنا اللهم من أشباعه وأشياعه والمستشهدين بين يديه وفي زمرته. وهب لنا اللهم رأفة ورحمة ودعاءه وخيره ما ننال به سعة من رحمتك وفوزا من عندك يا كريم. وصل اللهم على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله